Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeff, and today we are going to have some fun playing Magic. And the fun thing that we are trying to do today is we are playing a deck called Going Batty. And this deck is super fun, and this deck is all built around this card right here, Regal Bloodlord, which is a 5 converted mana cost, 3, a white, and a black. And it's a vampire soldier creature with flying, and at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So it can create a bigger board each turn, kind of like, honestly, a worse version of Crescent Sunmare. But we also get flying creatures, which are bats, and we're just going batty with this deck. And so we're going to have fun with it. Here we go. The other card that we're having in this deck, as well as Desecrated Tomb, this also creates bats. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So we're doing a whole bunch of pretty interesting things with this deck. So in this deck, what we're trying to do is just create tons of bats, and that's really only our goal. Is we're just trying to create as many bats as possible. Hopefully, win some some games along the way as well. But as you know, with my decks, the focus here is to have fun, and I think this deck is so much fun because we get to create tons of bats and kind of combo off with some pretty fun cards here. And so we do also have Anointer Procession, of course, because we're creating tokens, and so we have to throw at least a couple of these in here. But really, the fun part about this deck is first off how we're gaining life, and then also the ways that we are bringing creatures back from the graveyard. So pretty fun stuff here. So again, with Desecrated Tomb, it says whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. So first off, one little card I just want to show off here real quick. We have Scavenger Grounds, which I think is just a fun thing to have because this could create, if we ended up having a ton of our deck in the graveyard, we could create like 16 bats all at once. Maybe not that many, but just saying it would be fun. Anyway, so going on to the rest of this, what we're trying to do is kind of play a few different versions with this. Really, we're trying to going on the life gain deck. So we do have a full play set of Ajani's Pridemate. This is kind of our alternate win condition. We know we're going to be gaining lots of life. We're going to try to kind of drain our opponent out a little bit, not necessarily too much. But then otherwise, we are just playing a lot of like embalmy creatures with Anointer Priest, and Sacred Cat. We have Stitcher Supplier that can dump a couple cards into the graveyard. We're hoping to dump our Scrapheap Scroungers, our Sacred Cats, and our Anointer Priests. And then we can create a ton of tokens, especially if we get Anointed Procession out. And then we can gain a ton of life by having a Johnny's Welcome and Anointer Priest, and just gain tons of life and ultimately try to lengthen out the game as long as we can, so that then when we do run into our Desecrated Tombs and Regal Bloodlords, then we can create a board of flyers that the opponent can't block and will ultimately just win the game for us along the way. And that's one thing that I really like about this deck is it's fun. We kind of build a little bit, not necessarily control. It's like a mix between aggro, but you also have that late game play style as well. So it's pretty fun. One thing I do like is I also threw in a Ajani Adversary of Tyrants. Pretty much every card that we have, except for the Scrapheap Scrounger, can come back with its -2 ability. So that's another way to bring cards out of the graveyard for Desecrated Tomb, which I'm not running a full playset because I'm mostly focused around the Regal Bloodlord, kind of on the top end, as well as just kind of playing some fun creatures and synergies down here. So anyway, this deck honestly is probably going way too many places to make real sense anywhere. I'm not even sure I like the Stitcher Supplier in here, but ultimately we're gonna have fun with it, and that's the goal of this, is just to have some fun. And real quick, so one thing I wanted to put in here as well. So the name of this deck I am calling Going Batty, but as you know, I love to get some some help with the names here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw up a poll in the top right corner there on an iCard, and you can go ahead and click your favorite name of the ones that I've picked out there so far. And then if you have one that you like as well, go ahead and put it in the comments, and then I will pin whichever one I like the best. This is something I hope to do with all of my videos in the future. Have a poll, see which one you guys like the best of the names in the comments, then I'll pin whichever one to the very top, whichever one I think is the best one of all the comments, at least probably in that first day or two that come out. And as far as that goes, that's the deck, and let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. Here we go. All right, so here we are in Arena Standard, and we are playing Going Batty. And this deck is so much fun, and we will see if we can pull off the combo of just creating tons of bats. Good lands here. Stitcher Supplier can ultimately draw us lots of cards if we run into the right stuff. So we will keep this. This is not too shabby. Opponent is mulliganing down to 5. Keeps one on top. Plays an island. We're going to play Swamp and get out Stitcher Supplier before Ajani's Welcome. I just want to really draw into, Sacred Cats, things like that. Unfortunately, we're losing some good stuff as well. That's the one reason I'm not sure I like Stitcher Supplier, is because I initially built this with more just embalmy creatures, but then I threw in like the Anointer Procession, that kind of stuff, and so I think that it's fun, and I was kind of building a different version first. So I don't know. Here we go. Let's go Ajani's Welcome and Stitcher Supplier. Go ahead and throw some more stuff. All the things that we don't want in there, of course. No. So we played, say, no attackers. We probably should throw it in the graveyard, but until we actually draw our Desecrated Tombs or Regal, really the Desecrated Tomb, it's not that worthwhile. All right, Prophetic Prism comes down, draws a card. Passes the turn. All right, and so we literally have only lands in hand right now, basically. All right, and we actually are just going to keep Sacred Cat unless they're like attacking in. We know that they have quite a bit of stuff they can do, but we're just going to pass the turn here right now. Opponent plays an island and Power Stone Shard. Let's see if opponent can pull off the combo before we start doing stuff. All right, so first off, we're going to play a Plains. We're going to play Ajani. So Ajani ultimately should be pretty good here. We could just tick up and start building up our Stitcher Suppliers to be bigger, or we can bring out a Pridemate. Let's do that next turn. So let's go ahead and tick up this turn on the Stitcher Suppliers.
Deliver us to victory.
Swing in so we can at least start hitting in for a little bit of damage. Bring the opponent down to 18 and pass the turn. Antiquities War. Alrighty. So this is actually where it's kind of okay for us to have just a bunch of blockers that we don't care having going to the graveyard. Foundry Inspector. They fine and put it on top. Alright, so we do have a Regal Bloodlord here. So we are going to play... Let's play Swamp. Let's play Regal Bloodlord. Gain life, so now we know we're going to get a bat. And let's go ahead and just tick up here. I kind of want to go for the ultimate for the Ajani, now that we know we're going to create a little bit wider of a board. Take opponent down to 12. Get a bat, get a Regal Bloodlord, pass the turn. Opponent plays the Immortal Sun. Alright, so that is a whole lot of not good for the Ajani there. No! Alright, so another Regal Bloodlord. Alright, so this is going to be pretty fun as well. So we are going to play a Regal Bloodlord. We're going to play a Plains, and I think that we actually hold on to the Sacred Cat as a trigger for next turn, just in case nothing else works out for us here. So we will go to combat, swing in, swing in, swing in. And so they're going to have the Antiquities War trigger next turn. They will have 3 creatures. So hold back a bat. We're going to be creating 2 this turn. So yeah, we should be just fine. Opponent will block, take 5, down to 7. And we could play Sacred Cat as a blocker as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and pass the turn. Gain some life, create some bats. Opponent goes to their draw step. Let's Antiquities War trigger. Creates a bunch of creatures that are 6/6s because of the Immortal Sun. Plays Foundry Inspector. Prophetic Prism. And Panharmonicon. Interesting. Seems like a pretty fun deck. We'll get an extra trigger off the Glint Sleeve, or Glint Nest Crane. Power Stone Shard. And a Meteor Golem. Awesome. That's pretty fun. Power Stone Shard comes down. And they pass the turn. Alright, so now we will put down... Let's see, does Shefet Dunes win it for us? Yep, so Shefet Dunes does win it for us. So let's go ahead and sacrifice Shefet Dunes. Yep, Go in a swingin', go to combat. Swing all in. Alright, so we do have lethal as they blocked. Yep, alright, perfect. So, it's not the prettiest deck in the world, but if we're all in on the Regal Bloodlords and we actually draw into them, man, it does really well. And that's really... We are all in on Regal Bloodlord, not necessarily all the other synergies that we have there. We just started playing things that also work with what we're doing for it. And so, anyway, it's pretty fun. Alright. Here we are with game number 2 in Arena Standard with Going Batty. And let's see how this goes. Opponent is going first. We draw our hand. Concealed Courtyard, have our colors, Ajani's Pridemate, some ways to gain some life, possibly. We'll go ahead and keep this, just because, like I said, we're all in on the Regal Bloodlord, and we have a way to make that happen. So, yeah, let's go for it. Concealed Courtyard, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. We will play Plains, and let's go ahead and, let's get down the Anointer Priest over the Ajani Pridemate. Just because I'm guessing they're holding up removal there. Alright, this might be the Drain deck. Alright, that's a fun deck, actually. Alrighty, so we will go ahead and play the Plains, play the Pridemate. And, no attackers. Another Skymarch Bloodletter drains us, swings in, hits us down to 16. We play the Plains. We play the Anointed Procession. And we'll just say no attackers for now. We know we have the Regal Bloodlord next turn. We need to find a way to gain some life. Fail Spectre. We have to discard a card. We will just go ahead and discard... Well, actually, we'll go ahead and discard a Shefet Dunes. We know we aren't playing anything that costs more than 5 mana, so we're okay getting rid of land there. Alright, so a couple of flyers, not too shabby, especially against what it looks like we're playing against here. So we will go ahead and swing in now. We know we're not blocking with these guys. Opponent blocks, bring him down to 21. Yeah, that's right. Arterial Flow makes us discard both of our cards. We are losing more life. This is pretty cool. Whole lot of not good for us, though. Swings in. They'll be able to bring us down to 1. We block. And, man, we just never drew into a way to actually gain life. So, Sacred Cat. Scrapheap Scrounger. And we'll concede. We will concede. Alright, so here we are in Arena Standard, and we are playing Going Batty. I forgot the name there for a second. Ooh, alright, so ways to gain life. Anointed Procession isn't bad. 3 mana. We're going to go ahead and keep this. And this is where I feel like with this deck, I am going too many directions. Like, I'm trying to play 4 of too many do-nothing cards, I think. That's the biggest issue here. Isolated Chapel, go. And we'll go ahead and get down the Anointer Priest here. Swing in, 4-1, pass the turn. We don't have a lot of 3-mana spells, and so I'm thinking that we would just play the Ajani's Welcome before whatever we play here. So, yep. That's why. Get out the Scrap Heap. Gain some life. Swing in. Gain more life. Bring him down to 17. So much damage. Opponent's not doing much of anything, which is good. We will go to combat. Swing in. Bring opponent down to 12, play Anointed Procession, and pass the turn. Opponent plays a Plains. Takes vengeance on our Anointer Procession, our Anointer Priest. Ooh. So this could be pretty fun. So actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play Ajani's Pridemate first. Because then when we bring back Anointer Priest, we didn't have enough mana to do all of it, but we are going to get so many life triggers with that. Okay, maybe not so many, but we'll get like 4, which is a lot. And so, actually, with that, we would get lethal as long as they can't take care of our Pridemate. So, yeah. Alright, passes the turn. We are going to go ahead. Let's just play the Swamp. Play Anointer Priest. Bring in some tokens. Gain all of the lives. Alright, so I do actually get 4 triggers off of that, and then the 2. So 6 altogether. I'll skip this stuff for you guys. Alright, an opponent scoops it up. Before I gotta skip it for you guys. Alright, well, Going Batty seems to be doing pretty well. Kind of surprisingly so. Hey, you know what we got? We got a pack, and so we're going to crack it, see what we got. A new card. Sweet. And Fell Spectre. I was seeing that deck, and I definitely need to build around it, because it just looks really fun. But, ooh, Apex of Power. There's also some fun decks I need to build around that as well. I just need to get more of the right kind of cards first, but some fun things you can do there as well. Alright, so there you have it with Going Batty, and played some pretty quick games, and did fairly well for what we were doing. I would definitely change up some things with this deck. So, I mean, the main thing I was thinking of is I wanted to create ways to create bats every single turn, and not only one but maybe multiple and everything like that, you know, and then do all the things that would be cool with creating bats that often. And so anyway, there's some fun things you can do. Desecrated Tomb is fun, but I really like the Trespasser's Curse and the Authority to Consuls to kind of have at least 2 ways to be creating life on their turn. I wouldn't necessarily make that your main priority, but Trespasser's Curse I think is pretty good. Authority of the Consuls, of course, before it rotates out, is just a fantastic card. So good, so good. And then Ajani's Welcome, I am just always impressed with this card. Every single time I get it, it's fun. Just gaining that life lets you go to the later games, later turns and everything like that. And so, and of course it just works so well with Ajani's Pridemate and pretty much anything else. But yeah, this deck is pretty fun. There's definitely some things you can change up with it, but it worked out pretty well for us this time. Let me know down in the comments below the things that you guys would change with the deck, because there's a lot of things I would kind of do differently if I was trying to like make this actually competitive. I was just kind of going all in on I'm going to get a bat every turn when I get this guy out, you know. But anyway, yeah, this was pretty fun, and I'd love to hear you guys' comments down below. See what you guys think. Like the video if you do like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.